Attention passionate Cleveland, BROWNS FANS. Latest news, something big is happening in the AFC North and it could change the game. We're talking about a direct impact on Cleveland Browns' path to another Super Bowl run, a power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true Cleveland Browns fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with your FRINDS and Cleveland, BROWNS FANS. Let's get to the news as we inch closer to the start of the NFL season. The Cleveland Browns are making headlines not just because of their star players or offseason acquisitions, but because of the intriguing, and some might say surprising, roster decisions that could be on the horizon. The Browns, as many of you know, are a team with a rich history, a passionate fan base, and a roster full of talent that's eager to return to the playoff spotlight after a few years of ups and downs. But this year, things are a little different, a little more unpredictable. The team's management, led by GM Andrew Berry, is facing a balancing act that's become quite the hot topic among analysts and fans alike. You see, Cleveland has made some solid additions across key positions this offseason, bringing in new players to bolster their depth chart. But at the same time, they're dealing with the realities of the NFL salary cap, which is always a tricky puzzle to solve. The cap constraints mean that some veterans, players with experience and leadership, might find themselves on the chopping block, especially if the young talent steps up during training camp and preseason. It's a situation that's generating a lot of buzz, particularly because it hints at a possible shift in the team's roster philosophy, moving towards a younger core with upside for the future. Now, one of the most talked about topics is the potential for some unexpected roster cuts involving key veterans. On a recent episode of Sports 4 CLE, analyst Damon Wolf laid out a fascinating scenario, pointing out 3 players who could see their names called during the roster cuts, even if it's not something fans are necessarily expecting right now. And those names are Shelby Harris, Jordan Hicks, and Joe Flacco. It's interesting because these guys bring different things to the team. Harris as a veteran defensive tackle, Hicks as a leader in linebacker corps, and Flacco as a seasoned quarterback. But all 3 could be on the bubble, especially if the team's younger players impress during camp. Let's start with Shelby Harris. The Browns signed Harris last year on a 2-year deal, expecting him to bring veteran leadership and stability to the defensive line. But the Browns have a crowded defensive tackle room, with Malik Collins, Mike Hall Jr., Jowan Briggs, and rookie Mason Graham all vying for snaps. Harris's role could diminish if these younger players show they're ready for larger roles. And if Cleveland chooses to release Harris after June 1, they could save about $68 million in cap space, with only about $1 million in dead money. That's a pretty strategic move, especially if the young linemen perform well in training camp and preseason games. It's a classic case of team building for the future, trimming the fat to make room for new talent. Then there's Jordan Hicks, a veteran linebacker brought in to provide leadership and stability in the middle of the defense. Hicks's experience is valuable, no doubt, but his injury struggles have been a concern. The Browns are also developing young linebackers like Mahmoud Diabate, Carson Schwessinger, and Nathaniel Watson. These guys are hungry, talented, and eager to make an impression. If Hicks's injuries continue or if the coaching staff feels confident in the younger core, releasing Hicks could be a logical move. It would free up around $2.5 million in cap space, with a manageable dead cap hit of about $1.66 million. This move could signal that the Browns are betting on their young linebackers to step up and lead the defense in 2024 and beyond. Now, about Joe Flacco. This one is particularly intriguing because, as many of you know, Flacco was brought in to compete for the starting quarterback position, bringing veteran leadership and experience to the room. But with the recent additions of Dylan Gabriel, Shedeur Sanders, and Kenny Pickett, the team's quarterback depth chart has become more crowded and, frankly, more competitive. Flacco's experience is undeniable, but if the Browns decide to move on, they could save about $1.25 million in cap space, but would also absorb around $16 million in dead money. It's a move that might seem unlikely at first glance, but it signals a shift in the team's quarterback strategy heading into 2025. Cleveland could be looking to develop its young quarterbacks more seriously, and maybe Flacco's role will be more of a mentor than a player trying to fight for a roster spot. Now, let's get a little deeper into what all this means for the Browns and their season prospects. Cleveland, after a few rocky years, is aiming to return to the playoffs and possibly get back to the Super Bowl. They've been building a team that balances experienced veterans with promising young talent, but the roster cuts and decisions being considered show that they're not afraid to make tough choices. Sometimes, trimming the roster to make room for the future is exactly what a team needs to do to elevate its game. The defense, led by stars like Myles Garrett and Denzel Ward, has the potential to be one of the top units in the league, but it's the depth and versatility that will truly make or break their season. On offense, the Browns have invested heavily in their offensive line, a solid running game, and a young, talented wide receiver core. Deshaun Watson's development as the franchise quarterback remains crucial, and the team's success hinges on how well he can lead the offense, especially under the pressure of tight division races in the AFC North. The Steelers, Ravens, and Bengals are always fierce rivals, and every little roster move can tip the scales. Cleveland's front office is clearly aware of this, and the moves they're contemplating, whether it's releasing a veteran or giving a rookie more reps, are all geared toward gaining that competitive edge. And speaking of the division, the AFC North is shaping up to be one of the most competitive divisions in the league this year. The Ravens, with Lamar Jackson back healthy and a revamped offense, are looking stronger than ever. The Steelers, with a solid defense and an emerging offense led by Kenny Pickett, are always in the mix. The Bengals, of course, with Joe Burrow leading the charge, remain a powerhouse. For Cleveland, navigating this division requires not just talent, but smart roster management, savvy in-game coaching, and a bit of luck in avoiding injuries. The roster decisions, especially regarding those veteran players, will play a big role in how well they can withstand the intense competition coming their way. Now, let's talk about some of the rising stars and key players to watch this training camp. Deshaun Watson's performance will be under the spotlight. Coming off a tumultuous year, he's looking to re-establish himself as an elite quarterback and lead Cleveland to the playoffs. The offensive line will be critical in protecting him, especially with the added pressure from divisional defenses. Wide receivers like Amari Cooper and the emerging Elijah Moore will be vital targets, but the depth at that position is something to watch as well. On defense, Myles Garrett remains one of the best pass rushers in the league, and Cleveland is counting on him to set the tone along with Denzel Ward and a secondary that's been bolstered with some new additions. And let's not forget about the rookies. Mason Graham, the rookie defensive tackle, has been turning heads during off-season workouts, and many believe he could be a game-changer in the trenches sooner rather than later. Carson Schwessinger, the linebacker out of Indiana University, has been impressing the coaching staff with his speed and instincts. These young guys are eager to make their mark, and training camp will be their chance to show that they belong on this roster. The competition is fierce, but it's also what drives teams like Cleveland to get better every day. But beyond the X's and O's, what really matters is the mindset. The Browns are entering this season with a sense of purpose. There's a real hunger in the locker room, a belief that this could be the year they finally break through and contend for not just a playoff spot, but a Super Bowl. The roster decisions being discussed now are a part of that bigger picture. It's about creating a team that's not only talented, but also cohesive, hungry, and ready to take on the best in the league. The coaching staff, led by Kevin Stefanski, is known for its disciplined approach and innovative game plans, and they'll be working tirelessly during camp to get this roster firing on all cylinders. Now, for the fans, this is an exciting time. The offseason is always filled with hope and anticipation, but the real test begins when the pads come on and the games start counting. Cleveland's journey toward another Super Bowl run is unfolding right now, and every roster move, every practice, every preseason snap will shape the story of this team. Will the veterans be shown the door? Will the young guns step into the spotlight? And most importantly, can Cleveland finally put it all together and compete at the highest level? Those questions are what make this season so intriguing for Browns fans. So, as we keep our eyes on training camp, keep in mind that the Browns are not just trying to fill out a roster, they're crafting a team with a vision. A team that's ready to fight, to adapt, and to surprise everyone. And with the AFC North as competitive as ever, every move counts. The Browns are in a pivotal moment, and the decisions they make now could define their future for years to come. That's what makes this offseason so fascinating for us Browns fans, and I promise, I'll be here to keep you updated every step of the way. And now, Cleveland Browns fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on this? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion matters so much to us and to the Cleveland Browns. Do you think these veteran cuts are the right move? Or do you believe Cleveland should hold on to their experienced players a little longer? Maybe you're excited about the young talent coming up and believe that's the way forward. Whatever your perspective, I want to hear it. And don't forget, I'll be back soon with more updates on training camp, roster moves, injury reports, and everything else you need to stay ahead of the game. So stay tuned, Browns fans, because this season is shaping up to be one of the most exciting in recent memory. Let's get ready to cheer, analyze, debate, and support our team as they chase that ultimate goal, the Super Bowl. Thanks for being here, and as always, go Browns!